Imagine a single moment, all nuclear weapons on Earth detonating at once. Not a gradual war, but one instantaneous global burst of fire. What would the world look like after that? It begins with a silent, searing flash brighter than 1,000 suns, a moment of artificial daylight that blinds and burns. This thermal pulse, a wave of pure heat traveling at the speed of light, vaporizes anything in its direct path and ignites surfaces miles away. Exposed skin is scorched in an instant. Only then, a fraction of a second later, comes the blast wave, a crushing wall of overpressure, compressed air moving faster than sound, faster than any warning system can respond, faster than human comprehension. Millions are struck in a brutal, chaotic assault. The immense pressure wave ruptures internal organs and throws bodies like dolls, causing catastrophic injuries before they even hit the ground. The air, once clear, fills with a dense maelstrom of debris, concrete, steel, and personal belongings all weaponized. Glass from countless windows transforms into a storm of razor-sharp projectiles, a deadly blizzard slicing through the air at hundreds of miles per hour. For those who survive the initial blast, a primal panic erupts. Dazed and deafened, people run without direction, their only instinct to escape the unfolding inferno. The air is filled with the screams of the injured and the wail of distant, struggling sirens. But in a city turned to rubble, there is no shelter, nowhere truly safe. Simultaneously, a new, self-sustaining horror is born. The intense heat from the initial blast ignites everything flammable across a vast area. Thousands of individual fires erupt, and as they burn, they create a powerful updraft. This sucks in air from all directions, creating hurricane-force, superheated winds that feed the flames. The fires merge into a single, monstrous entity, a firestorm, a towering inferno that consumes entire city blocks, creating its own weather and reaching temperatures that can melt steel and asphalt. Into this apocalyptic landscape, first responders advance. They rush toward the devastation, their training utterly inadequate for a disaster of this magnitude. With communications down and command structures shattered, they operate on instinct and courage alone, risking their lives to save others. Their bravery is a brief, defiant beacon in the encroaching darkness. Then comes the invisible blow, an electromagnetic pulse, or EMP. A silent, instantaneous surge of energy radiates outwards, frying the delicate microcircuits at the heart of modern civilization. It's not a simple power outage, it is the permanent death of electronics. Power grids fail, plunging the entire region into darkness. Cars with modern engines stall and die. Communication networks go silent. The digital world, with all its knowledge and connection, simply ceases to exist. There are no calls for help, no news reports, only an unnerving, absolute silence. For the few who made it to a designated shelter, the ordeal is just beginning. The air is thick with concrete dust and the smell of smoke, making every breath a struggle. In the dim, disorienting chaos, a mother separated from her children in the stampede calls out their names, her voice lost in a chorus of panic and moans. A man fruitlessly turns the dial on a radio, met only with static. They are trapped in a new, terrifying reality, utterly cut off from the world they knew just moments before. The few hospitals still standing are immediately overwhelmed. Corridors and waiting rooms overflow with the burned, the broken, and the dying. Doctors and nurses work tirelessly, but with supply lines cut and no power, their resources dwindle by the minute. They face impossible choices, forced to decide who can be saved and who cannot. For the wounded, there is only waiting, in silence and in fear. Water supplies fail, hospitals struggle to operate, emergency services are overwhelmed, even surviving buildings become dangerous zones. Power plants struggle to maintain control as alarms scream. Radioactive clouds travel with the wind, reaching far beyond the blast zones. Exposure causes severe illness, animals flee, crops die, and entire communities are cut off from help. Global economies crumble, supply chains halt, Basic necessities like food, water, and medicine become scarce. Markets shut down. Governments impose strict emergency measures. Society faces a sudden struggle to survive. Some nations cooperate to coordinate aid, others isolate themselves. Trust between countries evaporates. But local communities begin small humanitarian efforts, risking everything to save lives. Millions flee devastated cities, diseases spread due to poor sanitation. Resources like water and medicine are limited, creating extreme suffering. Children wait in long lines for every drop of clean water. The skies darken from nuclear smoke. Sunlight barely reaches the surface. Crops fail. Starvation spreads. Ecosystems are shocked, taking decades to recover. When the systems we relied upon fall silent, when the hum of commerce and governance fades, what is left of us? The answer isn't in the skeletal remains of skyscrapers or silent screens. It is discovered in the quiet spaces between people. In the absence of formal authority, a different structure emerges, built not of steel and policy, but of shared glances, quiet courage, and profound kindness. This is the bedrock of society, exposed when all else is stripped away. It is a testament to the human spirit, an instinct for empathy that not only persists but flourishes in the stillness. Consider the nurse in a makeshift clinic, perhaps in a school gymnasium. Her supplies are meager, antiseptic, bandages washed and reused, yet her hands, though weary, move with a practiced steadiness that belies the exhaustion in her eyes. Each wound she cleans, each bandage she applies is more than a medical act. It is a quiet, resolute defiance against the encroaching chaos. It is a declaration that every life still holds value, that compassion is a resource that can never be truly depleted. She tends not just to broken bones but to broken spirits, offering a sliver of hope. Elsewhere, a farmer protects what little food remains, his knowledge a currency more valuable than gold. He mends a coop with salvaged wood, his actions a deliberate vote for a future that includes more than just survival. He is a guardian of sustenance, but also of a legacy of self-reliance. Nearby, a teenager who has known only abundance now shares a rationed bottle of water with an elderly neighbor. There is no transaction, no expectation of return, only a simple gesture that says, "We are in this together." These are the threads that begin to reweave the fabric of a broken world. These are not heroes of legend. They are ordinary people, their actions small and often unseen, yet they are proof that our humanity does not vanish in the dark. Instead, it is distilled to its most essential form, a helping hand, a shared burden, a quiet understanding that we are all we have left. This is the new social contract, written not on paper, but on the heart. It is the recognition of our shared vulnerability, and in that recognition, we discover our most enduring strength. In these moments, that is everything. Some regions self-organize, forming local councils and distributing resources fairly. Governments weakened by disaster may lose influence. Maps of global power are rewritten, yet small victories bring hope. Water flows, crops grow, life returns slowly. The world we know is a delicate, intricate machine, a symphony of 1 billion digital conversations happening every second. This invisible network underpins everything. The precise timing from GPS satellites that guides our ships and planes, the instantaneous financial transactions that fuel the global economy, the logistics that stock our shelves. It's more than just bustling cities and global commerce. It's the quiet confidence that when we flip a switch, the light will turn on, that the knowledge of humanity is just a click away. We have built a civilization of breathtaking complexity, a network of systems so interconnected, so seamlessly integrated into our lives, that we often forget how fragile it truly is. We've become masters of a system whose fundamental workings are a mystery to most. This entire complex tapestry, woven over centuries of ingenuity and effort, could be unraveled in a single, silent, celestial event. The scenario of a modern Carrington event is not meant to terrify. It is a mirror held up to our modern world. It forces us to look at our reflection and see the vulnerabilities we choose to ignore. Our absolute dependence on a centralized grid, our lack of analog backups, our assumption of perpetual stability. It serves as a profound reminder that our progress, for all its brilliance, rests upon a foundation of electricity. By imagining its absence, we are not indulging in fantasy. We are engaging in the most critical stress test of our civilization. Just as engineers push a bridge to its breaking point in a simulation to find its flaws, this thought experiment reveals the weak points in our societal structure. It asks us to consider the unthinkable, not to despair, but to prepare, to understand our weaknesses so we can build upon our strengths. This leads us to the most fundamental questions. How can we protect what we have? Not just our homes, but our collective achievements. How do we shield our power grids with technologies that can withstand a solar punch? How do we create decentralized energy systems like local microgrids? How do we safeguard the vast digital libraries of our science, history, and culture from being wiped clean, especially when the very machines needed to read that data would be rendered useless? And beyond the physical, how do we preserve the very essence of our humanity in our darkest hours? When the systems that enforce order collapse, when the familiar rules of society are suspended, will we turn to each other for support or on each other in fear? Will compassion and cooperation be the currency of this new world, or will it be suspicion and survival at any cost? What social contracts will we write in the dark? The responsibility lies with us now. It rests on the shoulders of our engineers to design more robust systems, on our governments to implement protective policies, and on each of us to foster resilience within our own communities. The work to preserve our world in a crisis begins not in the darkness, but in the light. It begins with awareness, a clear-eyed understanding of the risk, free from panic or dismissal. It continues with planning, creating strategies not just for national infrastructure but for local neighborhoods and individual households, and it is solidified by a shared commitment to building a future that is not only technologically advanced, but fundamentally resilient. A resilience measured not by the speed of our data, but by the strength of our social bonds. Not by the height of our skyscrapers, but by the depth of our compassion. It's about ensuring that the flame of human knowledge, empathy, and cooperation is a light that no storm, whether from our own sun or from within ourselves, can ever extinguish.